Arc Raiders did it. They have somehow managed to actually do the impossible. Many have come and tried and fought tooth and nail to even get close to what Embark has achieved with this amazing game. They've somehow managed to redefine a genre, to challenge what it means to be an extraction shooter. But the question is, how did they manage to do that, and what makes this game so goddamn good? And to better understand that, we should look at the failures of others who have tried in the past. And in fact, we don't even need to look too far in the past. Even just this year, we've had 3 other contenders who have come out, 2 from the same company who have tried to compete in the same niche and genre that Arc Raiders is competing in right now. It's no secret that the biggest king right now in the extraction shooter genre is Tarkov. It's always been that way. It's kind of the mainstay of the extraction shooter genre. Many have come and gone, but Tarkov has kind of remained, and for a good reason, because there's really nothing else like it.
All right, buddy, who posted this in the fan art chat? Who's posting this in the fan art chat? Who did this? What's going on here? What are we doing here? What's going on here?
Earlier this year, from a company that's huge and absolutely massive in the mobile game industry, tried to compete in this niche and this genre with Gray Zone Warfare, one of the games that I was actually really looking forward to, but then they had an absolute massive crash and burn with a failure of a launch. Not really launch, because it was early access, and still is early access, which just goes to show that how freaking early they decided to release this game to the public. That might not have been the best idea. Without getting into too much details of Gray Zone Warfare, I feel like that concept that they had going for themselves were 3 different factions on one map, and you all play on the huge map. You get into a helicopter and load into a raid where there's no loading screens. Whenever you're going into a raid, you just get into a helicopter and go to an LZ and you start your raid from there. You can raid other factions' bases, and that whole concept that Gray Zone Warfare had going for itself, I feel like if done correctly and in a timely manner and in a freaking finished manner, could have actually been something. But their failures was more in the bad decisions department, which is in stark contrast to what Arc Raiders is. In fact, Arc Raiders was like in a polished state way back, not even in the server slam, in the tech test 2. Everybody who played it was saying the same thing. What they showed us as players in the tech test 2, what they had ready already there, was polished to a state where they could have just released that game, that content that they had ready, and it would have been miles ahead of what Gray Zone Warfare would have. And in fact, we don't even need to narrow it down that much. It would have been miles ahead of what any other AAA company has put out in the most recent years. For example, I just played Battlefield 6's RedSec that came out the other day. Now, don't get me wrong, Battlefield 6 is really good. That's polished and ready to go. But RedSec is really rough around the edges. It's a good game, fun game mode. In fact, I probably would have been playing it more if Arc Raiders didn't come out at around the same time. It felt to me, now this is my conspiracy hat theory going on right here. It feels like to me, EA was trying to beat Arc Raiders' release out by like 1 or 2 days. So they decided to release it early, even though it's really rough around the edges. Besides Gray Zone Warfare though, we had 2 other games released earlier this year that either had an extraction shooter mode or was entirely an extraction shooter game. And believe it or not, they were from the same goddamn company or producer, whatever you want to call it, Level Infinite Games. The amount of money that these dudes have to throw at games just to see if they will stick, and in fact they did stick. They have success in their own right, one being Delta Force, which is still actually in the top 10 most played games right now, even with Arc Raiders' release. It's in that 85,000 players right now as I make this video, though the extraction shooter mode isn't Delta Force's main mode. In fact, it's probably not even its most popular mode. It's more of a competitor to Battlefield more than anything else. Arena Breakout Infinite, on the other hand, is solely an extraction shooter, and in fact it's so solely an extraction shooter that it's pretty much a carbon copy of Tarkov. It's meant to be the great value Tarkov. That's pretty much, that's what I'm dubbing it. That is basically what Arena Breakout Infinite is. Everything down from the guns, the modifications, the gameplay loop, the animations. Nonetheless, with Obby competing for its slice of the pie in this very competitive niche of extraction shooters, it didn't stand out, and it really didn't do anything different. It did things better and it did iterate, but it wasn't a different game. And in fact, unless you had hours in both the games, if I put footage of both of them into a little montage here together, you probably wouldn't be able to distinguish which one's which. That's usually the fate though for copycat things, not just in games, but for multiple aspects of life. It's rare that a clone-ish thing usually does better than the original. That being one of the main reasons why I felt it's important to look at failures of others in the past, Arc Raiders in comparison is the exact polar opposite. It is doing so many things different and better in some cases. Not only is Arc Raiders distinct and distinguishable, if I put footage of Arc Raiders up here, it's obvious that we're playing Arc Raiders and not Tarkov or Obby or Delta. Having just a different visual style wouldn't be enough to push this point home, as we saw with Marathon, for example, which hasn't released yet. And God, I don't know if they ever will, man. I'll be honest, bro. It feels like that game is being set up for failure. But the whole gameplay loop of Arc Raiders is different. The experience that they're offering to the player is completely different. And in fact, so different and great to the point, well, actually inspiring this whole video to the point where Embark themselves literally redefined the genre. That's right, Arc Raiders is not an extraction shooter. It is a multiplayer extraction adventure, which sure, Embark, okay, feel like is a bit too much. It feels like you're trying a little bit too hard to be different. Yeah, I'm different. I'll go with it, sure, Embark, but it does feel a little bit like a stretch, like you're trying a little bit too hard, because at the end of the day, it is true. And not just me, 200, and ooh, it hit an all-time peak just now. In fact, I think if I click it again, it's even, oh my God, it's gonna crack 300,000. Boys, you think we can crack 300,000 likes on this video? And while you're down there, make sure to do me a huge solid and smash the subscribe button. This is Embark's definition of an extraction adventure. Arc Raiders blends the tension from extraction shooters, which is important by the way, with the atmospheric setting, which is also very important, and they do a very good job of that, from an adventure genre. And this is what I was actually gonna say. Wow, this is the first time I'm reading this. I have notes up here. What I was gonna say is that, damn, dude, they beat me to the punch. This is the first time seeing this, but lurking threats from deadly machines to other raiders create a constant ebb and flow of intensity where every moment is charged with the thrill of high stakes, extract valuable loot, and explore the unfolding mysteries of a vibrant, lethal world. I think this point here is what makes this game so goddamn different. It's so goddamn good. There are so many people online who I've seen either ask streamers online or like post about it on Reddit or something like that, where they just don't understand what's the hype about, what makes this game so great. Let me explain, because I haven't seen anybody do a good job of explaining it. It's the whole point of an extraction adventure. What makes Arc Raiders so special and different is the fact 30-minute gameplay loop that is called a raid in this game. As you know, in like a regular traditional adventure game, you load into a mission or you're in an open world environment and you do missions and whatnot. You can go to a campfire and save and then continue on with your missions. This game mixes and mashes an extraction shooter where you have a 30-minute gameplay cycle loop and then you go back to the main menu with an adventure game where that 30 minutes that you're in not only is an extraction shooter, but it also kind of plays like, where I wrote here, kind of like Tomb Raider or any other insert adventure game here, any other single player adventure game that you can play. The whole point that I'm trying to get across is that not only you're trying to fight off real enemies, real players, the PvP aspect, not only you're trying to fight off different AI enemies, PvE aspect, like a looter shooter like Borderlands or Destiny as well, but at the same time in the map at any one point there can be different mini games that you can do, there can be different puzzles that you gotta solve, like the Queen. You can go in there, you can fight it, like basically what is equivalent to a raid boss, like you go fight the Queen, which isn't even the biggest boss that they have in the game. That blew my mind. Let me see if I can find that picture. I think it was size comparison. Yeah, I saw this chart the other day and it blew my mind. I originally looked at this picture and I saw this little shadow here. I was like, oh, hey, that's the Queen. And then I look here, it says the Emperor. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's bigger than the Queen. And that's not even the Queen. I'm like, wait a second. Is that that's not even the Queen. This is the Queen. I was like, Jesus Christ. Holy hell. How big is this goddamn crab Emperor, man? I'm dubbing it here, by the way, folks. Oh, I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this. There's a little raider right there. I swear to God, this is like that one galaxy size comparison, bro. Galaxy size comparison, where they put a little orange and then they show the different sizes of the planets. Okay, I didn't want to see Samsung Galaxy phone. Anyways, you get the idea. Anyway, so if you didn't understand the whole Arc Raiders hype train that's been going on recently, and you've been wondering what makes this game so special, it just looks like another extraction shooter. Well, this is why. It's because it mixes and matches. Like this is what makes this game so goddamn special and unique. The fact that it's an adventure game and an extraction shooter at the same time without sacrificing one or the other, where one is like suffering and the other, no, they're both, it's equally both. And I think this was kind of like an accidental misstep that just like happened in the whole development process of this game. Because if you remember, Arc Raiders was originally meant to be like a PvP game. Like it was meant to be kind of like Helldivers 2 was, where you load up with 3 or 4 different buddies into a raid and you go fight bosses, do this, get loot, blah, blah, blah. It's meant to be more like Helldivers 2. So that's why all the bots, the AI were very hard, and there was a lot of different little mini games and things that you can do inside the thing. All that stuff was because it was your main enemy was the Ark. The main lure of the game was to load in with your buddies and do all these things with them together, not to fight each other. But then later on, when they pivoted and added PvP on top of all this, well, now you get both with an adventure game fighting PvE, but at the same time, you have PvE kind of like an extraction shooter of Tarkov, both mixed together in harmony. I feel like it was kind of an accident, a byproduct of pivoting the game halfway through the development cycle. If you can't tell, I've really been enjoying my time on this game, and I've been playing it a lot over on Twitch. In fact, I'm probably live right now, so you can go watch that after this video is done, which is right now.